Welcome back to DUBBZI Bricks for another episode of Building Gotham City in Lego, and we're here at Arkham Island once again, and they're going to be working on the Lighthouse area to start with here. Now with the Lighthouse, I want to make it so it's a little bit higher up, so I'm going to build the rockwork up a little bit more, and I feel also that it needs to be a little bit wider as well, but I can easily make the rockwork come out as I go that much higher. With the actual lighthouse itself, I'm thinking it's possibly a little bit too wide, not by much, just a fraction. So what I'm considering doing is the technique that I've used on the second level there, that's going to be at the bottom, then that one, and then I'll try and find a way of going a little bit narrower one section further up. So I think I've got an idea of how I could possibly do it, but whether or not it looks right, only time will tell. So we have a bit of an experiment with that. Now the other thing as well is I want to look at possibly putting a stripe in the lighthouse as well, and I'm considering either black or dark red at the moment. Something that's quite dark to tone it down a little bit. I don't want to go for like a bright red. I don't think that's going to look right, as I want this to be quite a moody environment. So there's plenty to get on with. One other good thing as well, I thought I'd run out of these, and I've got a whole box of the 1x stud, so I can get a lot more water done in Gotham without needing to go to the Lego store. So that's all good as well. So without further ado, let's take this section over to the table and let's get started. And that's the rockwork all built up where the lighthouse is going to be going by about 5 or 6 bricks. And I've also started putting some steps in there as well. Now, one thing I am considering at the moment is I'm having the sewage pipe coming out of the rockwork just down here, which means I'm going to have to do a bit more rework and possibly having the Batcave under there. Or the other option is to have it down this end of the island where I haven't even started work, which would make a lot more sense. So that's where I think is more likely to have it. One other thing I do need to do is put somewhere for the boats to dock just down that side there, and then have some steps coming up the rockwork too there. So there's going to be a couple of little tweaks we need to do on there, but I don't want to have the steps built into the rockwork. I almost want to have them so they're wooden, so they will be separate to the rockwork. But what I'm going to do now is just make the amendments to the lighthouse, put that on top of the platform here, just to give me an idea of how it's all looking. And here we have our revised lighthouse. I put some stripes in. The only dark colour I had was in dark brown, but it's good enough to give me an idea of whether or not it needs the colour, and then I can just order in whatever colour I decide on, whether it's dark blue, dark red or black. I do quite like the dark brown actually. It's a little bit different. Now with the bottom here, this is smaller now. I've done away with this section which had the 45-degree slopes between these. So it's also meant that it's 2 plates narrower in each direction. So this section here was originally up here. This one here was up there and so on. So it has just tapered it in that little bit. Still lots of parts I need to order in the right colour. So I'll make a list of those and order those when I place my next order with lego.com. But anyway, let's move this over to the island and see how it looks. And there we have the lighthouse all in place, and I think it's looking a lot better. I'm happy with the height of that. I think this has just been extended by a little bit, has made quite a big difference on there. Now Arkham is going to look massively different from that. I have decided I want to do pretty much a rebuild on there, get a lot more of a gothic feel to it, less symmetrical, less blocky looking, different angles. So there's going to be plenty of work that I need to do to that. And this is the area where I'm going to be having the boat, when inmates are being dropped off, is going to be around about that area there. So just need to tweak a little bit of the rockwork above, but that should be quite a straightforward job to do. But yeah, really happy with how that part is all coming along. It's going to look a lot better once there's a lot of green on here, and I'm going to change over some of the dark bluish grey plates for some olive plates, and I will also put a bit of rockwork on the side of the lighthouse as well to make it look like the lighthouse has been built into the rockwork as well, and that will be the same for Arkham. I'll build some rockwork up, the building to rest up against it so it looks like it's built into it. It also helps with keeping the building in place so you know it's exactly where it should be lined up wise. And this is the 5th base plate of rockwork that we're just starting, and we've made sure this joins up nicely to the previous section. And just here is where I'm going to have the sewage pipe that goes in and out of Arkham Island. And the plan is I'm going to put the Batcave to the right of it. And I'll possibly do it so there's a doorway that goes through to the Batcave, and then the sewage pipe would also go further into the island. So I want to have it so there is actually an inmate that's trying to escape through the pipework just here. I'm going to have it so the rockwork opens up on here so you can see inside the Batcave. So I just need to work out how I'm going to go about doing that. The other thing I want to do is with the pipe work, it's going to be using these macaroni pieces. I want to have it coming out at probably a 45-degree angle just to mix it up a little bit. So we're just going to dismantle these support pillars just here, get the pipe working as best we can. Then I can start building the support pillars around it and above it. And this is the technique that I'm going to be using for the sewage pipe coming out at an angle. So we've just got some hinge pieces. They're attached to some plates on the mills plate, connected together by a 10 wide plate. We've then got our macaroni pieces here. They're on the back of some cut plates, the 4x4s, which are connected together using some plates, some snot bricks on the bottom, and then the snot brick will just clip onto the beam going across there. So we've now got it at a nice angle. I am going to attach some of these arch pieces as well, possibly 1 or 2 bricks further forward. That way, if there are any gaps in the rockwork, you're not going to be able to see it. And also it helps to keep the pipe work all together, as at the moment there's no connection points between each section along there, and the tiles that go around the front, again, they're not going to be connected either. What I'll then do is start building the rockwork all around it as close as I can get it to the pipe work. I will put another pipe or a start of one going this way as well, and that'll lead into the Batcave, and possibly do one going towards the back as well. But I'll probably just do some black bricks at the back just to end it off, just to give the illusion that the tunnel goes further than it does. But I'm not sure yet how I'm going to go about attaching that, but we'll worry about that bit a little bit later. And we've made a fair bit of progress here on the corner. Really happy with how this angle's come out on the drain pipe here. And as you can see, there's another pipe at the back there. And it looks like it goes back for quite a while, but that's just purely due to the black bricks in there. Now, on this part here, it would be nice to have a grill of some description or some bars coming down. I'm not sure how I'm going to attach those at the moment due to the technique that I've used here. There's nothing really to attach them to. What I could do is bring some water through, because there are a couple of studs I can connect to at the back, then build some plates across, and then I could possibly wedge something in there using an illegal building technique. So I might experiment with that. Over here we have got the miniature Batcave, where Batman's going to have some weapons, and also in here there's going to be a suit, so he's got a change of suit should he need it, and there's a weapons rack, or the clips there ready for the weapons to go on, and there's the door at the back, which doesn't actually lead anywhere. But around here we're right on the edge, so I've got to somehow cover all of this up with rock work. And the panel on the front here, I'm just going to do the rock work so you can just pull it off to see inside the Batcave. We will be putting lights in there, and for the roof I'm going to use one of these grill pieces here, then hopefully it'll give some good shadows going down. But also when you're peering in, if you get down low enough, you should be able to see a little bit more detail as well. On the floor, I'm just going to use the grill pieces we've got just here. I think that'd be quite a good effect to have on the floor, and I'll have one step going up to the doorway there. So let's carry on working on that, and I'll check back in once we made a little bit more progress. And we've added some details to the inside of the Batcave. We put the weapons rack on there, put the suit in the Batcave, and we put the computer terminals over here. Just need to put some screens there. But yeah, happy with how that's coming along. I've started to put the lights in, so I'm going for one light that's going through the button back there into the suit chamber, and then we've got the main light for lighting the room up there. And I'm very low on connector boards, but luckily enough, we have just had a delivery from a Game of Bricks, and in the order we have got some connector boards which got 4 plugs on, we've got some 3 plug ones, and the most important part here are these here, and these are the connect power supplies, where you put this section here on the lower part of a build, and then this is a plate which you clip to the top half, and as soon as these two come into contact with each other, it puts the power through the build. And it's a really good way of having a modular building where you've got lights going through it without having to connect the wire from floor to floor, as this will do that part for you. I'd highly recommend checking out Game of Bricks. This really is a game changer when it comes to lighting up your buildings. And I'll put a link in the description of the video, and if you use the code DUBBZI, you will receive 25% off your order. So yeah, check them out, you won't be disappointed. And there we have the Batcave all lit up. Managed to get all of the rock work done on this entire section here up to the same level. Just need to do the finishing touches around the edges. and still got to work out how I'm going to do the grill on the pipe just there. I am wondering whether or not it would have been worthwhile having a light in there, because you can only just about make out the pipe at the background. But again, it's something I thought you wouldn't see too much light in there. So if I can work out a way of just putting a very faint light in there, then I may look at doing so. But anyway, let's move this section over to the rest of the island and see how it looks. And there we have the fifth section of rock work, or the fifth base plate, shall I say, all in place. And it's going to be nice once I've done all of the edges around here to give it a nicer, more realistic look, as opposed to just a flat plate that we've got on there. I've still got to build the rock panel to go in this section here, which will just slide in and out. And the next thing I need to do is work out what I'm going to be doing for the interior of this section just here of Arkham Island. Once I've done that, then I can start working on other parts of the island. On the top section here, we'll know exactly how high it's going to be, and then I can start working on the actual structure that's going on the top itself. And I'm still looking at laser source material, looking for inspiration of how I want the asylum to actually look. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Gotham City in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.